All right. Hey, good morning, YouTube. What is going on? How's everybody Friday starting out? See what's going on out there. Looks like some people are getting some rain. Some people are getting some snow. Although we don't have many people checking in from the Dakotas or Nebraska. We might actually have a clear day for once. We haven't had a clear day in like 2 weeks, it seems like. Which I could be wrong. But snow off and on like most of the day yesterday. Cloudy. Somebody said it was supposed to get clear yesterday, and that didn't happen. See what's pull up side chat. Get this party started. Everybody's getting ready for their weekend. Or somewhat not going to be working, hopefully. Whatever form of weekend you might get. All right. Let's see. Oh, we got Chipper66 checking in. Good morning. Good morning to the people of YouTube. Toxic Threads is with us. Good morning, Alicia. You're probably a little bit colder than we are. We're down getting close to single digits. You're probably in single digits out your way. CE, good morning. Christine. I'll have to remember that for a while, I guess. Why would you change your name? Wes S. is with us this morning. How you doing? The Barrel Yak Project presses forward, I guess. Snow in Saudi Arabia, is that right? Well, Stan, I know they got snow in Vegas. That's about the same thing, isn't it? They had legit snow. Like things are shut down. Vegas is closed down today. Well, the schools are closed. So that's next best thing, I guess. But they're having a legit winter now for Vegas. Wes just read we all going to die in a nuclear war anyway. Isn't that the way it was always meant to be, Wes, right? You're not going to die in a rain shower, I don't think, right? All right. But there's everybody else's weather outlook if somebody was concerned. Winter is still alive and kicking. That groundhog was probably way off. As usual. Warmer than normal for you, Stan? Really? Huh. Christine, it's ridiculous being school closed. I thought they did it because of potential, really all ice in the roads, right? That's what they were saying. Of course, I don't see what the roads look like. Is the snow all gone now? They should have shut everything down yesterday. Was anything shut down yesterday? Seemed like most of Summerlin was under half a foot of snow. That's pretty significant. I guess the central part of town is what everybody thinks about, though. Never trust a rodent from Penn. Is that Pennsylvania, I'm assuming you're saying? You're reading the writings of rodents from Pennsylvania? Is that what you're saying? What's going on in the Twitter sphere? Any pressing news today? We did that short video yesterday about the Benchmade debacle that Benchmade has stepped in, supporting not gun control, gun destruction. They are full on board. The government is the only people that should be allowed to have guns trained with that move. They were definitely on it like that. You know, But if you missed it, Benchmade is out there supporting the local police department, destroying firearms, and now having to backtrack, saying they were just doing their jobs. Yeah, that's probably not going to fly for most people. Most people are not having none of it. But nobody could afford those overpriced pieces of metal anyway. That I know, at least. I mean, plenty of people on the YouTube would do a review on one every now and then or something. They were highly regarded. But that may slip away. They may see a drop in their price point as needed after that. What else? You got 4 inches, huh, Christine? It's all gone, huh? Yeah. I think they were just worried about ice on the roadways, etc. Since you don't have any, sanding equipment or anything down there, the state can't really come in and clear the roads. But I don't know. Should do a video report for us. Going to nuclear war. Russia's going to strike first, right? That is what I saw that as well. Or at least that brief statement, if nothing else. Russia claimed that they would have a first strike capability. See what else is going on over here. Stock market optimism. Everybody finding a way to make a buck. Here's a question on the zero hedge. What's up with Australia's 80 tons of gold at the Bank of England? They're probably not there. The Q&A summary of the discussion. Well, that should be interesting. Yes, Dan, I could get on board with that if we got a little more rain and could plant a little more crops and do a little bit of get some grazing land set up out here. I'd be in pretty good shape if I could get my bottom land to be actual grazing area. Mach 9 with a 100-mile range, 1,000-mile range. Still 1,000 miles, not that far. I guess he could have first strike from a sub-launched missile, I guess. All right. Let's see if I can. Where did you read your story at, Wes? I just briefly saw it and I was like, well, that figures. It's not surprising, really. Oh, what we got over here? Reuters article. Yeah, they're really pushing the Cold War return push the other day. Oh, here it is. Reuters article. Even. Off the Drudge. Russia says they're ready for another Cuban-style missile crisis and threatened to place hypersonic missiles on ships or subs near U.S. territorial waters. Now, Vlad, why would you go and do something like that? We ain't ever harmed you. Vlad, come on, man. Thought we were pals. So yeah, this is on the Reuters again. The back history. I love how articles feel like they have to go into a history lesson. Like they're almost like they're rewriting it for some reason. Putin's comments made to Russian media late on Wednesday follow his warning that Moscow will match any U.S. move to deploy new missiles closer to Russia by stationing its own missiles closer to the U.S. or developing faster missiles, or both. So Putin, for the first time, said Russia could deploy hypersonic missiles on ships and submarines, which could lurk outside U.S. territorial waters. Putin said, we can put them, and given the speed and range of our missiles, in neutral waters. Plus, they're not stationary. They move, and they will have to find them. Mach 9 and over 1,000-kilometer range. State Department dismissed Putin's earlier warnings as propaganda, saying it was designed to divert attention from Washington, from what Washington alleges are what Moscow's violations of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Is that one of the treaties we're still in? Because we just got out of the Proliferation Treaty, right? We're going to try to hold somebody to a treaty. We just backed out of one. Don't know if that's going to go over well. Probably everybody's out of all the treaties. Ban all the treaties. That's probably the statement going on now. The Intermediate Nuclear Forces Pact bans Russia and the United States from stationing short and intermediate ranged land-based missiles in Europe. Washington announced on February 1 it will withdraw from the treaty in 6 months unless Moscow ends its violations. If you do this, we're going to do this. So we're accusing Putin of violating that already. Got it. Okay. So this is because we're out of the Proliferation Treaty, right? The arms race is back on in that respect, and this is a separate one that we've threatened on as well, it looks like. If I'm reading all the past news right. The United States does not currently have ground-based intermediate-range missiles in Europe, but could develop and deploy them if the INF treaty collapses. Yeah, they're just sparring back and forth. Everybody trying to poke the bear and vice versa and going back and forth. Who can be the biggest bully on the block? And meanwhile, China is making their moves without saying a thing. China's all about action, not words. They're the real players, it looks like, as I would say. Let's see what we got over here in the side chat. Dad on YouTube joined us, just logged in. What do I do? You're not the hypersonic missile guy. All right, Christine. Yeah, they get to soak more money out of. They just get the Fed to pay for it, Christine. You know, they're just going to the Federal Reserve and write the debt off. It's not like they paid off the debt from the 70s arm race. You know? I would say that has a lot to do with it. So that's interesting. Sparring back and forth. You never hear about China placing nuclear missiles anywhere. Probably because they don't tell nobody. You don't talk about Fight Club. Very interesting. Kick that back. The START treaty's coming up soon. Russia does good. Yeah, Russia does do good propaganda. Tommy Boy 9 has joined us. Good morning, Tommy. They say war starts tomorrow. Is that right? I did not hear that. Why tomorrow? What's the 23rd? Dad says just watched Venezuela army propaganda vid. It was not a. It was awesome. It's still not up to North Korean propaganda standards. Hey, High Pocket, how's it going? Your back hurts from all the snow you've been shoveling. Where you been getting snow? Are you down in that little pocket down there? I guess a little bit of the high ground around LA. I thought you were further down in San Diego. Have you really been shoveling that much snow, or are you just egging it on? Christine says China doesn't really have that many. That's why they don't join treaties. They're just trying to get more, right? Fears on the Yellowstone supervolcano. That article came out yesterday. I saw that briefly before going to bed, but hey, it's there. Be aware. It could always go off. Uh, and actually, the one thing I tried to click through on was showing the map of the fallout. Suppose I was wanting to check that out um, to see what. And I think the big thing with some of these volcanoes like this is they're always talking about the worst case scenario, but volcanoes all the time don't go worst case. They just small explosion. They don't have the map on here either, but that's the biggest thing about Yellowstone and some other places like that. It's like, what if it only goes 50%? What are we looking at? Um, the different geyser activity. There's been a lot of documented geyser activity for about the last 2 years. How it's changed a lot. They talk about that a little bit here. Um, but the Steamboat Geyser has now set a record by erupting a whopping 32 times in 2018. A personal best for the geyser for a single calendar year. It's the world's tallest active geyser. And at the best of times, it can shoot water 300 feet in the air, right? Yada, yada. Let's get that out. Ear Spring Geyser. It's been since almost 1957, but erupted a few months back and sprayed human garbage from the 30s all over the park. Huh. Scientists insist this doesn't mean an eruption is pending. It's a good lesson in how geysers actually work. Well, that's good to know. Thanks for the lesson. Everybody's going to panic though because any little bit of change, it's like snow in Vegas. Everybody panics. And that'll be interesting. We'll be following that. We don't want nobody wants the Yellowstone to go down. Hey, Delaware Patriot, good morning. Oh, you're in Big Bear. Okay, High Pocket. You're definitely getting snow at least. You're living large. Too bad you're in California. Big Bear's nice. I guess if you have to be in California, Big Bear, Lake Tahoe, Shasta, those are decent places to be if you have to be in California. All right. If Wes says if Yellowstone goes completely, then you'll have 1.5 inches of ash. Yeah, Wes, that's the thing about it, though. Will it go completely, though? That's the worst case. I'd like to see a breakdown of like slow releases and stuff to see what that would, because almost all volcanoes also have, the lead up where they release more pressure and stuff like that. What would happen if we didn't have the whatever million ton event, however many tons of TNT equivalent they're going to call it? What if you back that off and it was only a small explosion? It covers Montana. What? FBI admits to infiltrating the Trump campaign. Just don't call it spying. FBI has been undermining the country since the 50s. What do you think J. Edgar Hoover's job was? Let's see where Australia's 80 tons of gold are. I wonder if they're the same as Germany's gold in New York. It's not there. So in a recently article from RT, this is via the Bullion Star. Wonder if everybody just gets threatened behind the scenes on hey, just keep your mouth quiet. We're not following that old system anymore. But let me move that over. Description box for the link. There's a supposed storage location at the Bank of England's vaults in London. I mean, really, if you're part of the Commonwealth still, ain't none of that gold yours anyway. The Queen claims all that, right? RT has now published an article in its English side website about this Australian gold and the RBA claims it held in London. The RT article, which is published on 18 February, it's titled, "Hey UK, it's not just Venezuela. What happened to Australia's gold?" Yeah, because they refused to give Venezuela like 80,000 tons. Was it 80? Well, that doesn't sound right. 80,000 tons doesn't sound right. If Australia's only got 80 tons, maybe it was 80,000 pounds of gold, something like that, that Venezuela asked for back. It was refused. Maybe that's what they're going to war over. So what happened to their gold is an RT from the commentary. RT actually asked quite a few interesting questions on both the Australian gold and other related gold topics. So it's all at Tommy Boy's house. That's where all the gold's going. I didn't even think about that. You're cornering the market, aren't you, Tommy Boy? Here's the Q&A as follows with a full set of questions and answers. So we won't go through all of this, but the questions: what happened to Australia's gold? What's your opinion? However, there have never been any independent physical audits of this gold, which means that there's no way to verify the Royal Bank's claim that it has the gold it claims to have, right? 2, why are the countries like Australia and Canada willing to part with physical gold? Is that a good idea in your opinion? How much gold does Australia really have? Up until the late 1996, Australian Central Bank held nearly 247 tons of gold, a considerable amount by any measurement. However, it went on a gold selling spree in the first half of 97 and sold 167 tons, leaving it with the current claimed 80 tons. Why, at the time, the usual justifications were wheeled out by the bank, such as the proceeds of gold sales could be better invested in financial assets. Think about the price of gold in 1997 versus now. Tell me, boy, what was the price of gold in 1997? Probably $250 an ounce. I don't know, 300. Probably max 400. Talk about inflation. Talk about getting robbed of your future wealth. And they probably did it on the best advice of, and to do some, we're going to sell our gold to who knows what they were using it for. The next question was, some experts believe that Western central banks are covertly disposing of their gold or otherwise leasing it to China and India through bullion banks. Do you believe in that? Do you believe there's some grand global conspiracy Who doesn't think there's a global conspiracy involving the world's central banks? There's a mountain of evidence that Western central, this is the response. There's a mountain of evidence that Western central banks, despite the power of gold, that despise the power of gold and will go to great lengths at the highest levels to contain the gold price through coordinated interventions and anti-gold policies. I would say that's fairly accurate. That's the conspiracy we push. From the London gold pool of the 1960s to the U.S. and IMF gold sales of the 70s and 80s, gold pool discussions at the Bank for International Settlements to the Bank of England, intervening into the London gold fixes in the 80s and probably to today. G10 central bank governors have often been personally involved in committing to gold market manipulation. This continued through the 80s and 90s with the growth of the secret gold lending market and central bank gold leasing. And it goes on, obviously, paragraphs and paragraphs of the answer. You can call this the conspiracy if you want. Try to ask central banks simple questions about their gold, and you will see that not one central bank will ever divulge important information about its gold or its gold operations or its gold related policy discussions with other central banks, right? You can call it a conspiracy if you want, but they're doing all these operations using gold, and then they get up like Bernanke did in front of Congress and says, gold's not money. Gold is, nothing. We don't care about gold. Tried to play it off like gold's not important. Number 4, what or who is behind the thinking in the West after 5,000 years, gold has now become obsolete as a store of value? Indeed, if it's not the bankers, who? If Western countries are disposing of physical gold, where does it go? Probably even better question. His answer to that one, physical gold has flown from west to east. Some of these flows have been through normal channels where gold is sold on the market and moved to London to the Swiss precious metal refineries to be transformed from 400-ounce gold bars into small, higher purity 1 kilogram and 100-ounce gold bars for shipping to India, Hong Kong, and China. Yeah, look at it talks about the inflow of gold into the East, India, and China and stuff. And India has imported about 15,000 tons since 2001. There are more than 25,000 tons of private gold held in India, on and on. So the next question was, Australian economist John Adams said in the last 20 years, we've only seen the gold once. According to the Royal Bank, audit was so flawed, it was basically meaningless. Is there any chance that the B of E, the Bank of England, could manufacture bars with fake serial numbers? That would never happen. That happened in New York. Who was it? Somebody had asked for their gold, and they did a core sample, and they weren't real. The answer to that question: the Bank of England allowed Australia's central bank to do its own partial gold audit in 2013 and to inspect a random sample of the RBA gold bars. The audit was basically meaningless, yes, and was flawed from start to finish. Interesting. Only via FOIA request did the Australian public even get a glimpse into what's going on. At no time did the Bank of England supply a proper wait list to the RBA with the refiner serial numbers of the claimed gold holding. Yeah, that's what happened with Germany. At first, they tried to give them back gold that didn't have the same serial numbers. They tried to say, oh, it's all just the same weight, just different serial numbers. The Germans were like, oh, no. That's not how we play this game there, Honcho. I don't know what happened after that. This was back in 2012, 2011 timeframe. Been back some time ago. The Germans were like, we want to repatriate so much gold over time, and they were going to give them gold that wasn't with the same serial number. So basically, this is somebody else's gold. It'll just be a substitute for yours. And it was like, and that was a big red flag. And then everything went dark and never heard anything else about it. The next question was, the Bank of England is globally recognized as one of, if not the primary destination of choice for central banks to store their gold reserves. That's a bad choice, right? Do you think it's the right place for Australian gold to be? All the way on the other side of the world. How could that possibly be the right choice? How can you get any safer than Australia? Even if somebody got loose in your country with your gold, you have to get off an island. Like, one of the better forms of border control, just having an ocean surrounding you. Just, But he says here, his answer is no, there is absolutely no need for Australian gold to be in London. It's ridiculous. Australian gold should be stored in Australia. Australia has a sophisticated gold industry and perfectly good infrastructure for storing and handling gold. In fact, better than most other countries. Indeed, they mine a lot of gold in Australia. It is one of their big industries. Yeah, that's about as good answer as that gets. The next question continued. Maybe it's time for Australia to get its gold back. Is that possible? Yeah, ask for it back. See how many wars we can start. The Australian Central Bank could request its gold back at any time. Australia has vast logistical experience shipping around the world. Likewise, the Bank of England has vast logistical experience shipping physical gold around the world. Assuming that the gold is actually in custody in London, they could withdraw the gold at any time. The Perth Mint in Western Australia flies gold around the world all the time is entirely feasible. That the Bank of England could contract a company such as Brinks to fly the gold back to Australia in less than 2 days. It should take a maximum of 2 to 3 weeks to arrange insurance and transport and fly the gold out of Heathrow or one of the other London commercial airports, or even from a military airbase and from one of those places in other military air bases the Bank of England has used in the past. Number 8, do you think the Reserve Bank of Australia has to start building its gold reserves again? He says yes. It's irresponsible that they don't. Number 9, the gold has traditionally been recognized as a safe haven asset, but its price action has raised some questions. Do you think gold is still worth being accumulated, or maybe it's time to switch to something else, for example, to silver or palladium? His answer, gold is money. Gold is a monetary metal with 5,000 years of history. The global fiat currency experiment, which has been in practice since the 71, is just a blip in time to compare it to gold's long and important history. It is therefore dangerous to fixate on the US dollar price of gold and the international price of gold. How much does it go on here? That's the end of it. He mentions something that's really near and dear to my heart, the paper markets. So the last paragraph closes out. The US dollar price is set in the fractionally banked London over-the-counter and via the COMEX gold futures trading. Both of these markets are essentially trading synthetic paper gold and unallocated cash-settled gold or screen gold. Call it what you will. The price action of the US dollar quoted gold price does not mean that gold is not a safe haven. Far from it. Physical gold will always be a safe haven. Gold demand is still very strong despite what Western media would have you believe. Just look at the Asian retail markets, China, India, Russia, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, etc., etc. Indeed. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting article. If you wanted to read more of the answers in depth, they're there. That could get arduous to try to read all that. But yes, when you can't get your gold back from what you consider to be your ally, if not your dad, basically you let your dad hold your money for you, right? Hey, Dad, hold my cash while I'm over here, and you go back to get it, and oh look, Oh no, you can't have your money back, son. That's mine. That's kind of the situation Australia's in. Australia thought they were all grown up and could get their money back. Oh no, 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 that's not the way this works. Oh man. Let me check in on the side chat. I'm leaving you guys hanging. Anybody check in with us? Dad says $200 an ounce right before Y2K. Is that right? See, I mean, talk about cheap. Time Boy says 250. I mean, talk about a ripoff. You gave your gold up right during the 90s and the good old days, the economy, and then they crash everything around you, and gold goes up fourfold, 5, 6 times, 6 times that value. Wayne and Westwind Survival has joined us. What's going on, Wayne? What else we got here? We have the Northwest, East, and South in the house. Indeed, right? We're all everybody's represented. Going back to the Yellowstone discussion. Oh, I haven't checked in since then, have I? My bad. Wes says the real fear of Yellowstone is the huge clouds of ash in the atmosphere, right? Yep. A lot of gold is missing, says Stan. Well, it's only missing if, well, yeah, the owners don't know where it's at. That's the problem. It's in somebody else's pocket. Let's see. Sounds like Fort Knox. Yeah, Fort Knox is empty. In other gold news, there's an article about Newmont and Barrick merging or something. Yeah, Barrick bought out. I think that's the way that went. I think Barrick bought out Newmont. Big news around here. That was a couple weeks back, I believe, that they started the process. I don't think it's fully. I think they just started the bid and everything. I don't think it's fully merged yet. Stan says you want to break a monopoly, make a world currency, break up the De Beers monopoly, and use diamonds as currency. They're hoarding millions of tons to keep the market prices high. Right? Or find a deposit of diamonds equally in their size to challenge their monopoly so you can bring the price down. I think Delaware, what you're getting to, the obsession with it is that it's durable and lasts essentially forever. Especially gold. Gold is essentially lasts. It's always been there. It's easily melted down and remade into something else, made into whatever. You can look it up, and people's obviously it's perspective. But that's why it's money, because it's lasts and it's durable, so they can be used to exchange things across thousands of miles. But we won't get into that discussion here. Credit cards, bank cards, the cash you deposit becomes prepaid credit, right? Your labor is prepaid credit. That's the scary thing. We're working for debit credits. Stan says, who'd have thunk globalism would cause a global depression? I don't know. Who would have thunk it? Having a world reserve currency causes everybody else to collapse at the same time. Iron Witch is with us. Good morning. 8 and Iron Witch brings out his example of the price of gold, right? Somebody's been watching Mike Maloney, right? Many, many examples about the durability of gold and silver as a money. By their value, if not by their usage, that they're consistent even despite the manipulations of other evil men. That's like I say, Delaware. It's like an ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. You can't change that unless you manipulate it and mix it with other metals to inflate the amount of currency that you're making in the system, which many empires have done and fallen. But at its base, it is the most honest form of money we can get, because it's always going to be an ounce. You know, it's always going to take somebody digging in the earth and to find that ounce, and et cetera, et cetera. So it has value based upon that alone. Hey, what's up, Tyler? Oh, Tyler from Just About Prep to talk about preppings with us. He did a really good video on an EMP scenario told in storybook format. Go check that video out from yesterday. Really kind of a good thought process about some of the way things could go that we really don't think about. Really good. Go check out Tyler's video on the EMP thought process and what you might have to deal with and things that people haven't talked about. I don't think I've ever heard anybody frame an EMP in that fashion. Dad on YouTube says, I always take the cash from the birthday cards. I'm gonna just hold it for you. You're the central bank for the kids, right? Yeah, can you imagine holding your kids' birthday cards money for 10 years? They turn 19, 20, and they're out of the house, and they're like, "Oh, Dad, what about my birthday money that I had all those years?" Yeah, it's around here somewhere. Yeah, that would go over pretty well. But it's like just like Australia, they're in no position to go kicking in the Bank of England's door to take it. You know. Let's see, where am I at here? The Chinese that fled China with billions and millions. They're scams. Bought tons of land in Western Canada and the U.S. Imperial credits, right? That's where we're going. Digital Federal Reserve notes, right, Dad? That's what it's all about. Yeah, the fake boob market is really disturbing, Wes. I think that would be a way to transition to another story. Yeah, everything has become fake. Everything on the TV, everything's virtual reality. There is no reality. It's all virtual reality. On and on and on, right? We got about 10 minutes left. Not a whole lot of urgent news. The similar seems like the same old, same old. The only thing the mainstream's talking about are the supposed alternative media or the supposed real media. Supposed is this actor that faked his own assault, assaulted himself and paid fellows to assault him. That's just hilarious. But that's about all that you see people talking about on there. All-time record snow in Flagstaff, Arizona, 35.9 inches. I did see some pretty impressive pictures out of they had their airport pictures posted on Facebook or Twitter, I think it was. That's some pretty impressive stuff. That's the storm that just left us this past weekend. Snow for everybody, and you get snow and you get snow. Even gold from the Canadian Mint has been coming up fake, right, Stan? Delaware, that's an excellent point. It's not real unless you hold it in your hands, right? If you hold it in your hands, it's yours. That's the way to think about that. Yeah, Dad, it was you that did that video a while back about fake silver and real silver. You had the example of fake silver bars, right? That was good. I remember that was one of the first videos I think I saw of yours. As a matter of fact, way back a couple months ago. It wasn't way back, but yeah, Dad did a video about the fake stuff a while back. We are talking about trading and bartering in that stuff in SHTF and how likely it was, and that's a good reason to know your local coin dealer now and somebody that has the expertise for a lot of that. If you think that could be potential around here, silver and gold are still a big deal. Obviously, Nevada is a big mining state. People are always still looking for the old Carson City Mint stuff, and you can't find, like, people do coin roll hunting for old silver, out of coin rolls and stuff. People are doing that always around here. You can't find a roll at a bank. I did that several years back. So last time I did it, you go to the bank, ask for a roll of half dollars or quarters or whatever you're trying to hunt for to try to find the silver in it. You can't find silver at a bank anymore. Not only do they take it out, some of it probably, but people are coin roll hunting as well for decades around here because there's so much of that old, rare Carson City Mint stuff that might still be hiding in Grandpa's bank. He passes on, his grandkids, great grandkids, kind of going through his stuff, get handed off something in the will or something, and they just go spend it like pocket change, not knowing what they got. That's kind of the hypothesis of how some of that stuff gets free, but a lot of that valuable stuff rolling around on the free market around here. But there's a lot of coin roll hunters and silver hunters that, that don't mess around. Yeah, don't feel bad, Christine, if you're still on here. The Washoe County schools are delayed too, and it's barely snowed in the last 24 hours up here. It's just been so cold, the roads haven't cleared out. Check back up on the comments. See what else might be going on. How's the stock market looking, Tommy boy? I don't know if we're going to break 26,000 permanently or not. It does not want to budge as long as the current situation plays out. Yeah, Dad did that video. Iron Witch says, I've never actually seen or touched more gold than what I have. I've only seen piles and bars of gold on TV. How do we know it really even exists? Right? I've seen some pretty good stashes of gold. They have a tour of the Carson City Mint here where they have some of the old stuff and the gold mining, and Virginia City has a lot of gold examples up there. Well, silver especially, but I guess you'd say as far as the tons and tons they talk about, how do you know that really exists, right? High Pocket says lots of kids in Alaska are asking parents where the money went. Oh yeah, every year people get $1,000 plus. Rarely did a parent save the kids. Oh, right, because even kids get paid. They don't get paid through the parents through that whole stipend thing in Alaska. Is that right? Spend money on the children's behalf. Wow, I did not realize that. I thought that you didn't get it until you reached voting age. Huh. I didn't realize that people would get a check when they're underage. All right, Delaware, have a good day. Thanks for checking in. Did Wayne finally get his last day in? I thought we had that on live chat a while back. Wayne's working on selling his house, moving south, all kinds of stuff. Dad on YouTube's mom was a lunch lady at school. She collected a little bit of rare money. Is that right? Yeah, I was thinking back when I was little, I used to do huge, save up change through the year and uh, go to the bank at the end of the year. I was trying to think of how much silver I probably got rid of and didn't even realize it. Didn't even think about it. Just do just rolling up dimes and quarters and stuff. Probably had more than my share. Tommy Boy's adding more wood to the fire. Have a good weekend, Tommy Boy. He looks like he checked out. Try some abandoned mine panning. That'd be fun, Wes. Tommy Boy doesn't watch stocks much anymore. Stan says there's a lot of old mines opening up north that are opening. The price of gold goes up. Right? We're getting close to 1,400, I think. Yeah, 1328 right now. Hey, Midwest Prepper, good morning. Congratulations, you made it. Right? Yeah, Virginia City has a small private mint, West Wind. Yep. There's a couple, there's a big mint down here as well that does minting for some of the larger companies. I think they're going out of business, though. I think they went bankrupt. They're nationwide. They had brought a printing, minting facility down out here to Nevada during a merger or something. I think they're going out of business. I think people are losing jobs out of that deal. How much gold went into electronics in the 80s and 90s, then went to the landfill, right, Stan? Good point. And how much silver still to this day is ending up in landfills. Stan says there's tons of placer mining in the north here, right? Yeah, they still do quite a bit of that around here too. They lots of people go out panning still these days. There's stories of you can go down here in the Carson River where they used to put mills right on the edge of the river because they obviously use the water to separate the ore. And there's tons of examples where the what they call amalgam ends up in the river in large chunks. If you can find it, people used to do that a lot, but it's gotten a lot less functional as people try to chase you away if they find you digging around the river. But there's plenty of stories of where people are trying to get that stuff out from some of the old mill processes that used to go on. From what the way I understand it is they'd be doing the milling process, trying to refine the gold or the silver, and it would get separated by the mercury, and it would come out and it would get hung up in the process, and a big chunk would roll out into the river as large, human-sized chunks of silver amalgam, which is not pure silver, but would be quite the score if you found it today, especially. But they chase people off. They find digging in the river nowadays. Going down there in the summer when it's low is a good pastime if you can get into it. Midwest says the bench made drama. It got worse. They dug up dirt on Leupold, Federal, Surefire, and Leupold. Really? I mean, I could see Federal, I guess, but dang, I like my Leupold scopes. And Surefire, even the Surefire made a 100-round magazine. I mean, why would they be going to the dark side? Who's the they, though? Who's the they, Midwest? Was it just some work group or just private citizens doing their due diligence or what? That's awesome. Is it on the oh, I gotta find you on Twitter. You probably shared it on Twitter, huh? I didn't go over to visit your thing yet. Um, but is it on the YouTube as well? Smolo, what's going on? Good morning. How are you doing? Smolo's getting into scrap recycling. Some crematoriums will give you their scrap, lots of precious metals. Is that right? Oh, man, I don't know if I can handle. That's like that's like bad juju there, pulling dead people's scrap metal out of the fire. Man, I guess that's from teeth and such, huh? Because I figure they take it off their fingers, but I wonder how many people don't even. Can you imagine having having somebody cremated and be like, "Can you make sure you pull their gold teeth out of there when we do this?" or something like that? Titanium hip joints. Think about all the different body parts that are now, have titanium with them, titanium plates, hip joints, all kinds of stuff like that. Um, yeah, you're gonna have to lead me into some stories on those additional ne'er do wells there, Midwest. That's not surprising. Big companies always going to play the game, right? All right, West Winds, eyes on the road. All right, have a good day. Tyler says lots of gold and silver and other rare metals get tossed away. Eventually, landfills will be dug out and processed. Right? Once it gets economically feasible to do such, it's exactly what will happen. Political donations. It's our ARF com CEOs and board members that are doing all the searching, going through old tailings, getting a lot out of them. Yeah, there's the place out here. There's an operation out here by Virginia City, the Comstock Mining, and a lot of what their operation is what it is is they go through the old tailings of all the old silver mines as part of their process, just bringing in the gold and silver from all the old tailings, not to mention all the new mining they're doing for gold and silver in Virginia City of all places, where everybody goes high in the all the people who moved up there for the historic impact of the whole place and all the ambiance, I guess you'd say, and they freak out because there's gold mining taking place in Virginia City. We got to stop it. What? It's kind of hilarious, but they're still going. Hey, Tactical Tony's checked in. Chance is checked in. Good morning from behind enemy lines. We're all behind enemy lines now, I think. Pretty much everything west of Denver is behind enemy lines nowadays. Maybe not Arizona just exactly. Smolo, you work in the cremation industry? Cool. All right, Wes S., have a good day. I got to call the body burners. Hey, every little bit helps, right? How do you ask the question, right? They burn hot, Stan. I mean, they burn bone, so they burn real hot. High pocket, your mom has two knees. We're starting to get pretty off the rails here now. Oh, it's different. There's regulations on the crematorium's heat, but can't fall below 1,600 degrees there where you are. Gold melting point is like 1945. Yeah, Stan, it doesn't have to melt though. It just has to be dislodged from the bone around it. It just has to fall out in the bottom. Doesn't need to melt, so it just falls to the bottom and sift it out, right? I'd imagine they sift the remains, right, to put it in the catching device, whatever they're going to memorialize the individual in. They put it in a decanter or whatever. What do they urn? They call it an urn, right? All right, so we'll have to be on the lookout for people talking about all the corporations that are undermining everybody's rights just to get a government contract. Probably it's all about the money on that, right? Midwest, like I was saying yesterday in my video, it's like that Benchmade's just looking at their bottom line and being like, well, we got a government contract for this. We'll ensure that we don't have knife control by paying off all these politicians. A lot of comments in that were about that, how Britain's enforcing knife control. Well, Benchmade's trying to get ahead of it. Like, hey, support all the gun control you want. We just want to, have knives freely sold and bought so they can make a buck, not knowing they're just going to get turned on in the end anyway when ISIS starts running through the streets stabbing people or whatever the case may be. It's all about the bottom line 9 times out of 10 with people like that. Hey, let's see. Alicia's joined us. Toxic Threads. Do you think anyone will end the Fed ever? It'll take iron and fire to do it. I don't think it won't be done without a fight. Like literally, the Fed has too much money to fund a private army to defend itself. It would take a large fight. Liberals take money from both sides through banking. The socialist controllers might be a better way to say that. There's tons of people who don't classify themselves as a liberal who are taken from both sides through banking as well. All right, Wes, have a good day. What happened in Georgia in the 90s? Knives are ghee, says Tactical Tony. So is everybody out of school today, Tony, or what? You guys shut down everything for a little bit of cold weather and ice? All right. Tony's got a Spyderco, Kershaw, CRKT, right? Yeah, Kershaw has always been a pretty good knife to go to. They're not outrageously expensive. It's been something to go to. All right. Yeah, I'm really going to have to wrap it up, folks. But thanks for the chat. Thanks, everybody, for checking in. Make sure you pull out that gold out of your teeth before you hit the crematorium. I don't think I've had a chat take that direction before, but it's all good. Stay warm and dry wherever you are. The winter weather is upon most of us. And we'll see what other corporations have been undermining their constituents in their target market more than others. But we'll see you on the weekend, if not somewhere else on the YouTube. Oh, that's okay, Smolo. I'm used to it too. It's just kind of funny. I'm not complaining. It's all good. Maybe more of a Saturday night chat topic. We might have to take down that road. How much money do crematorium people make, and balance that out with how much actual gold and other precious metals they find in the bottom of the sifter. How they make a living. All right, we'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Live free.